Vancouverite signed up for World War I. Today, there will be 2 directors of ceremonies, myself, James Stanton, the outgoing director, and Lieutenant Colonel retired Doug Poitras, the incoming director of ceremonies. Both of us are veterans. I am proudly wearing the maroon beret and cap badge of my regiment, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. Doug Poitras, who is Métis, served in both the regular and reserve forces of the Army from coast to coast to coast and overseas. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. November 8 was Indigenous Veterans Day, which honors the service of our First Nations, Inuit, and Métis veterans and their sacrifices through World War I, World War II, Korea, Afghanistan, and peacekeeping missions throughout the world. We salute those patriotic Canadians. We'd also like to draw your attention to the striking banners on the light posts around Victory Square. In celebration of Vancouver's 100th anniversary of the Cenotaph, the Royal Canadian Legion has launched a 100-banner program throughout the city, and you'll see banners around Vancouver. This initiative aims to honor the service and sacrifice of veterans by displaying commemorative banners featuring their names and images throughout Victory Square and along the parade route. We are also commemorating the centenary of the Royal Canadian Air Force, the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the Allied landing in occupied France in 1944, the role of heroic British Columbians in the Royal Canadian Navy during World War II. Sadly, this is also the 10th anniversary of the terrorist attack on our own soil that killed Warrant Officer Patrice Vincent, RCAF, and Corporal Nathan Cirillo, Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders of Canada.
It is important to note that our centennial ceremony today continues to be the only Remembrance Day service held in Canada that is organized solely by a municipality with the assistance of the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee, established as a volunteer group by the city in the late 1940s. This year, we wish to recognize 2 important founding members who were part of the original citizens group responsible for the creation of Victory Square and the Vancouver Cenotaph. They are the Canadian Club of Vancouver and the provincial chapter of the BC Imperial Order Daughters of the Empire, IODE. Both of their 100 years of service is evidence of their commitment to honoring those who served and fell for our city, province, and nation. On this day, we respectfully commemorate the memory of those who gave their lives in the service of our country in Canada's wars and peacekeeping missions, and those who returned safely to their families.
In a few moments, singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs will set today's mood with a medley of songs for this special day of remembrance. We appreciate the support of Vancouver Board of Parks and Recreation for the respectful care of the cenotaph and maintenance of Victory Square Park. Those of you standing on the south slope of Victory Square will notice a large screen has been installed to allow everyone an unimpeded view of today's events. We extend a generous thanks to all of the volunteers assisting with today's ceremony. You are wonderful citizens, and your contributions are greatly appreciated. In the event of an emergency, St. John's Ambulance first aid posts are located nearby, along with roving teams of first aid attendants. Let us now enjoy the voices of the singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs as they perform the White Cliffs of Dover.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that most beautiful rendition of World War II's most memorable songs by the wonderful young singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs under the direction of Catherine Ewan. The choir will return later, and they do appreciate your gratitude. The Vigil Guard is about to commence its official guard duties on the cenotaph. Vigil Guards are mounted in most Remembrance Day ceremonies across Canada. Vancouver is the only city that changes the guard as part of its ceremony. Members represent the Royal Canadian Navy, Canadian Army, Royal Canadian Air Force, the RCMP, and are selected for their drill, dress, and deportment. The Vancouver Protocol incorporates the changing of the Vigil Guard every 30 minutes. The Vigil Guard is made up today by members of the Navy, Army, Air Force, and RCMP. They are Sailor First Class Andy Ning, Sailor First Class Seun Park. Corporal Caitlin Lindiak. Corporal Jasnandeep Malay. Staff Sergeant Mike Liao. Constable Matt Wright. Corporal Ellis Zhang. Corporal Garth Lambert. In addition to the Vigil Guard, you can see the remainder of the parade forming up out on the street. Under the direction of the assistant parade marshals, the parade will march into position all around the cenotaph. Included in today's parade are members of the Canadian Forces Reserves, regimental associations, veterans groups, brass and pipe bands, police services, fire services, and cadets. Other Remembrance Day ceremonies are being held in the Vancouver area today in the following locations: the Chinese-Canadian Memorial, the Japanese-Canadian Monument, Grandview Park, Royal Vancouver Yacht Club, South Memorial Park. At various times during the service, everyone will be asked to stand, if you are able, and be seated as protocols require. As the parade completes formation in front of the cenotaph, there will be two very important dignitaries that we will receive this morning. The Honourable Janet Austin, OBC, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, accompanied by Commander Brian Price, CD, ADC, Royal Canadian Naval Reserve, and Lieutenant Commander Joseph Chidlow, CD, ADC, Regional Cadet Support Unit, Pacific. And there is also Rear Admiral Christopher Robinson, OMM, CD, Commander of Maritime Forces Pacific, accompanied by Chief Petty Officer First Class Avrid Lee.
Protocol dictates our VIP guests are to be welcomed by the Vice Regal salute and a general salute played by the Vancouver Fire and Rescue Services Band. Please stand and remain standing until after the general salute. Today's parade commander is Colonel Paul Lindsay, Brigade Commander, 39 Canadian Brigade Group.
Party, halt.
Brigade Commander.
Party left. Turn. Stand back. East. Stand easy.
Parade! Attention! To Commander Maritime Pacific, General Salute! Salute! Attention! Parade! Dear Lieutenant Governor, Vice Regal salute! Salute! Attention! Parade, stand up, A's. Stand easy.
veterans are now on parade, sir.
Parade! Stand up! A's! Stand easy.
Canadians have fought in many foreign wars. The Boer War in South Africa, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Cyprus, the Medak Pocket, and the war in Afghanistan. Approximately 1 million Canadians served in World War II in Korea. Less than 5,000 are still with us. Today we are honored to have World War II merchant seaman Percy J. Smith, now 101 years young. Additionally, we have with us 92-year-old Korean War veteran Bruce Lewis with us at the cenotaph. We salute Percy and Bruce and their fellow veterans for their service to Canada, wish them good health, thank those that care and support them, while we proudly wear our poppies to keep their memory alive and that of our former comrades. Thanks to all of you have done, Percy and Bruce.
"80 years ago, on June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, 21,000 young Canadians were part of the initial landing on the beaches of France when 150,000 Allied troops stormed Nazi-occupied Europe. For most of those young Canadians, it was their first day in battle. Canadian forces on D-Day suffered a total of more than 1,000 casualties, of which 381 were killed in action. Canadian casualties in the Normandy battle totaled more than 18,500. We will not forget those volunteer citizen soldiers who fought bravely for peace. Please be seated. Please be seated. I'm going to go back a bit. I'm going back a bit to this, just one bit at a time, with the Bernier, about Max Bernier, page 8. Today we honor the heroism of a young Vancouverite in World War II. Royal Canadian ship HMCS Mac Berniers is named in honor of Chief Petty Officer Mac Berniers, a Canadian naval hero who served as coxswain on HMCS Assiniboine during World War II's Battle of the Atlantic. Chief Petty Officer Bernier was awarded the Distinguished Conspicuous Gallantry Medal by the British Admiralty for his valor and dauntless devotion to duty during action. He was one of only 2 members of the Royal Canadian Navy to receive this heroic award during World War II. Bernays was born in Alberta in Vancouver in 1910 and died in North Vancouver at age 64, a true Canadian patriot. Please refer to your program for the full sequence of events, including wreath placement, to take place later. We are grateful to Global Television for its generosity in providing coverage for all of today's ceremony in Vancouver. CTV Network and CBC will also broadcast the ceremony, and it can be found on social media.
Parade! Attention!
Like, what do you hear? Read. What?
Vancouver Fire Rescue Services Battalion Chief Andrew Greenwood and the singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs, accompanied by the Vancouver Fire Rescue Services Band, directed by Kevin Lee, will lead us in singing our national anthem. Please join in the singing of O Canada. The words are in your program. Please be seated.
Parade! Stand up, A's! Stand easy.
Like, ready, order. Flex. Stand at ease. Stand easy.
The changing of the Vigil guard at the cenotaph will now take place. Vancouver is the only community in Canada that conducts this ceremony of changing the Vigil guard.
Switch drums. Left in, climb.
We now turn to the combined bands of the Vancouver Fire Rescue Services Band, the pipes and drums of the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada, accompanied by the singers from Vancouver Bach family of choirs for a combined performance of Goin' Home. This song is set to a nostalgic melody from the New World Symphony by Dvorak and has become a popular song. Today will be the first performance of this new arrangement for our band, pipes, drums, and singers. Goin' Home.
Thank you for showing your appreciation for this beautiful music as we contemplate a newly conflicted and uncertain world. With the continued Russian aggression in Ukraine and the tragedy unfolding in the Middle East. At this time, I'd like to thank the pipes and drums, as well as the cadet party that's formed up here on the stairs. Each year, an original poem written by a Vancouver area school student is selected as the winner of the Cam Cathcart Youth Poem of Remembrance Award. The program is named in honor of Cameron Cathcart, longtime Remembrance Day Director of Ceremonies and former chair of the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee. Tragically, Cam passed away 3 years ago, but his memory lives on in perpetuity through this award. The student poetry program was initiated by Mr. Cathcart to ensure young people were connected to Remembrance Day ceremonies. Cam's family are with us today. Today, our winning poet is Carrie Wang, age 11. Her poem is called The Color of Remembrance. It is printed on your program. Carrie will now read her winning poem, The Color of Remembrance.
If remembrance was a color, it would be red and white, the color of the Canadian flag. If remembrance was a sound, it would be people's heartbeats, the worried heartbeats of the soldiers and the families that are waiting for them to come home. If remembrance was a smell, it would be a comforting smell from home, the cozy place that was always welcoming to you. If remembrance was a feeling, it would be hopeful, the hope of warm hugs and good friends when you return. If remembrance was a taste, it would be bitter, the bitterness of coffee without cream, like a family that has been split apart. If remembrance was a place, it would be a cenotaph, where names of long ago heroes are written on the stone for people to remember. If remembrance has a purpose, it would be to recognize and remember all the people that have participated in wars, so that we could have peace and freedom. Thank you.
Wow, that was absolutely incredible, Carrie. Before I acknowledge you, though, I just want to mention that it's an incredibly humbling honor to be able to stand here today on behalf of the city and all of our teammates to acknowledge the veterans, the individuals that didn't make it back, the individuals that are currently serving, and all the first responders here today. it's not lost upon us that we get to live the lives that we do because your selflessness and your sacrifice. And I just wanted to let you know, on behalf of a very, very grateful and thankful city and country, thank you very much for your service. Thank you very much for your sacrifice. Now, Carrie, that was that was absolutely amazing. What an incredible poem! And I tell you, when I think of the youth, you're 11 years old and you're incredibly articulate, and you created that poem, and you read it without even looking off of notes. That blows us all away. And so, just want to say thank you for your incredible words. It means a lot to this group here and everyone in the country. And it just helps us remember and, never forget the things that are super important. And so with that, we have a little award for you and a little check in commemoration of everything that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Sim and Carrie, for those brilliant words. We want to thank Vancouver Fire Rescue Services driver Doug Baxter for providing transportation today for our student, poet, and family from their place of residence to the cenotaph and back home. Parade Commander.
Parade! Attention!
Vancouver 10th, flag party, carefree! Flag!
Here to offer the traditional prayer of remembrance is Captain Padre Lydia Bay, 39 Combat Engineer Regiment.
I invite you, whether here, watching, or listening, to join me in prayer or to use this moment of quiet reflection according to your beliefs. Let us pray. God of the past, present, and future, we gather today with grateful hearts for all who have served and sacrificed to defend justice, peace, and freedom, honoring those who paid the ultimate price in past wars, present conflicts, and peacekeeping missions worldwide. As you remember, today we remember the names inscribed in the books of remembrance on Parliament Hill, each one a story of bravery and sacrifice. We remember the Indigenous members who fought for our country even as their own lands were taken. We remember the 2S LGBTQI+ community whose courage shone through despite the injustices they faced. We remember the number 2 Construction Battalion, as well as East Indian, Japanese, Chinese, and all the racialized men and women who overcame discrimination to serve with dignity and impact. We remember those who have died physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually while serving the Canadian Armed Forces. We remember and honor all those who fought under the Canadian flag. Source of peace, grant wisdom and courage to the leaders of our country. We ask you, O God, bless Canada and its government, and to guide them in their pursuit of justice and peace. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Captain Padre Bay.
Parade!
Stand up, A's. Stand easy.
Like ready for serve. Left. Stand at ease. Stand easy.
To honor the heritage and resilience of our country, we return to Andrew Greenwood, accompanied by the Vancouver Fire Rescue Services Band for the stirring Maple Leaf Forever. Thank you, Andrew. This is Andrew's final year as our featured singer. He's been with us many, many years, providing the stirring renditions of O Canada, the Maple Leaf Forever. Andrew, thank you for your service. We now approach the place in today's program when we pause to honor the sacrifice of the more than 100,000 Canadians who have died fighting for our freedom. While the haunting sounds of Last Post signify the end of World War I, it has become a memorable symbol of every Remembrance Day for the past 106 years, much like the wearing of the poppy. During the 2 minutes of silence that is to follow, we can all reflect on the loss of loved ones and friends in battles or at home from injury, and hope for peace in the future. Following the Last Post and the 2 minutes of silence, the piping of the lament will be heard. This is followed by Rouse, which completes the tribute.
Hooray! Attention!
Like ready for read. Left.
Stand up. 8. Stand easy.
Flag ready, order. Left. Stand at. East. Stand easy.
Please be seated. We had the fly past of a Royal Canadian Air Force Aurora long-range patrol aircraft. In the distance, you may hear the 105mm guns of 15 Field Artillery Regiment firing their 21-gun salute. The singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs, under the direction of Catherine Ewan, will now sing the enduring World War I poem, In Flanders Fields, written by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae of Guelph, Ontario, a Canadian Army medical officer. Colonel McCrae penned his famous poem on a scrap of paper in May 1915, on the day following the death of a fellow Canadian officer, 27-year-old Alexis Helmer.
God.
Please join us in recognizing an outstanding performance by the voices of the singers from the Bach family of choirs in Flanders Field. As our Vigil Guard breaks off from sentry duty on the cenotaph. We are about to begin the placement of the official wreaths. In accordance with the Vancouver Protocol, the first official wreath will be laid by the Silver Cross representative, Dennis Byrne. The Silver Cross is awarded to parents or next of kin of a Canadian service member who died on active duty or whose death was consequently attributed to such duty. Today, we honor Sergeant Mark Solis, Medal of Bravery, Royal Canadian Air Force Search and Rescue Technician. Prior to becoming a search and rescue technician, Mark served for 8 years with the British Columbia Regiment, Duke of Connaught's Own, here in Vancouver. Mark was deployed as a Reserve Army peacekeeper to Croatia on Operation Harmony and achieved the rank of Master Corporal. He received the Governor General's Medal for Bravery in combat for his mission there. He transferred to the Regular Army and joined the 2nd Battalion, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, where he served with distinction. He completed 2 deployments to the Central African Republic and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Sergeant Solis tragically passed away on February 11th, 2015 on the Polar Circus ice climbing route in Banff National Park while on a training mission. God rest his soul. Memorial Cross recipient Dennis Byrne will be laying the Silver Cross. Sergeant Byrne is accompanied by the Memorial Ribbon recipient Craig Manuel, cousin of Mark Solis. We now invite the remainder of the official wreath party to proceed with your usual dignified dispatch to stand next to their wreaths. Wreaths will be placed as names are announced by the co-director of ceremonies. During the placement of official wreaths, the band and choir will perform an instrumental and humming version of Abide With Me. The placing of recognized wreaths will take place later. Official wreaths are laid in order of precedence. Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, the Honourable Janet Austin, OBC, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, accompanied by Chief Honorary Aide-de-Camp Commander G. Brian Price and Lieutenant Commander Joseph Chidlow. Veterans of the Royal Canadian Navy, Commander Retired King Wong, President Naval Officers Association of British Columbia, and Lieutenant Navy Sergio Caldell, retired. Veterans of Canadian Army, the Honourable Honorary Colonel Don Foster and Captain Sean Lafferty, Vancouver Artillery Association. Veterans of the Royal Canadian Air Force, Wes Bauer, past President, Air Force Officers Association, Major, retired, and Ian Whitting, President, 801 Wing, RCAF Association, Major, retired. Government of Canada, the Honourable Harjit Sajjan, President of the King's Privy Council for Canada, Minister for Emergency Preparedness and Minister responsible for the Pacific Economic Development Agency of Canada, and Member of Parliament for Vancouver South, accompanied by his son, Air Cadet. Government of British Columbia, the Honorable Terry Young, MLA, Vancouver, Yaletown. Consular Corps of British Columbia, Ricardo Arredondo, Consul General of Argentina in Vancouver and Dean of the Consular Corps of British Columbia, and Hendras Halim, Consul General, Republic of Indonesia, and Vice Dean of the Consular Corps of BC. City of Vancouver, Mayor Ken Sim, accompanied by Vancouver Fire Chief Karen Fry and Vancouver Police Deputy Chief Constable Fiona Wilson. Army, Navy, and Air Force Veterans of Canada, Sergeant Retired Jonathan Tremblay. Royal Canadian Legion, Craig Thompson, President, BC Yukon Command. Serving members of the Canadian Forces, Rear Admiral Christopher Robinson, OMMCD, Commander, Maritime Forces Pacific, accompanied by Chief Petty Officer, First Class Arvid Lee. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Acting Commissioner Will Ng, and Sergeant Kathleen Darby. Youth of Canada, Ava Issa, Ember, and Henry Campbell, Scouts. Imperial Order, Daughters of the Empire, IODE, Francis Dickinson, past President Elizabeth Worcester, Treasurer, and the Canadian Club, Rich Fisher, President, Canadian Club. Our final placement as a tribute to the fallen World War II 101-year-old veteran Percival J. Smith. Percy is accompanied by his daughter and his granddaughter.
The Royal Canadian Air Force was born 100 years ago to protect and preserve the freedom of all Canadians, to contribute to global peace and security, and to help those in need of Canada and abroad. The RCAF has a long and distinguished history with many proud traditions that merit recognition by all Canadians. Together, we honor the rich history formed by those who have served before us and for many who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. More than 17,000 RCAF members died in World War II. Two well-known organizations, the Imperial Order of the Daughters of the Empire, IODE, and the Canadian Club of Vancouver, were founding members of the original Cenotaph Committee. The IOD are present today and lay one of the official wreaths. We thank them for their 100 years of dedication.
The Invictus Games will be held in Vancouver Whistler from February 6 to 17, 2025. The Invictus Games is an international multi-sport event for wounded, injured, or sick servicemen and women, and will bring together over 5,000 competitors from 20 nations to compete in adaptive sports. The City of Vancouver is proud to salute our wounded Canadian warriors and their colleagues from around the world. As we near the end of today's ceremony, the following procedure will apply. After the singing of God Save the King, the official party will move to the reviewing stand on West Hastings. The band will move to the head of the parade. Following this, the recognized wreaths will begin to be placed at the cenotaph. Parade Commander.
Parade! Attention!
If you are able, please stand for God Save the King.
Parade! Stand up, A's. Stand easy.
Flag 40 word turn. Flag. Stand fast. Ease. Stand easy.
The official party will be moving to the reviewing stand. Units will be forming up in parade formation. The parade is about to begin and will march west on Hastings Street, passing the reviewing stand where the salute will be taken. Veterans will disperse from the parade after the Richard Street. The main elements of the parade turn north at Richards to Cordova, east to Cambie, then south and past the Cenotaph. Those wishing to watch the parade marching south on the Cambie should remain at the Victory Square Park area.
The recognized wreaths will now be placed at the cenotaph. Those doing so, please stand by your wreaths. Names of the individuals and organizations placing wreaths are listed in the program and will not be announced. The alternative red and blue walkways around the cenotaph will be used. Please follow instructions given by our helpful volunteers. Thank you for your time and consideration. As the ceremony draws to a close, I'm reminded of the words of the English poet Lawrence Binyon. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Please commence laying the recognized wreaths. Our veterans sacrificed themselves for a higher goal, our freedom, and will never be forgotten. We invite you to place your personal poppy at the cenotaph as a symbol of remembrance following the completion of the laying of the recognized wreaths. The parade will now march south on Cambie Street.
Parade! Attention! Parade will march past the column group. Right turn!
We would like to give special thanks to our dedicated citizens with us today. Of note, the British Columbia Commissionaires, the British Columbia Regiment, the City of Vancouver, Global Television, CBC, and CTV, all the Remembrance Day Parade Marshals, the Remembrance Day Veterans Escort Team, the Salvation Army, the St. John Vancouver Bach family of choir singers, the Vancouver Board of Parks and Recreation, Vancouver Fire Rescue Services, the Vancouver Police Department, the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee, and all you volunteers that have come out today. Thank you.
Well, there's.
Oh, JP. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, we don't need to do it now. Wait, how long is it? It's easier for Sean now. Oh, is it?